Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live chat sessions of me and having my friends around to get to know them, who they are, and why are they a musician or whoever they are, basically. So, welcome to the YouTube edition of Live Chat with, and today we have Iivo Kaipainen, who is an amazing, amazing guitar player of a band called Arion. Now, how did I get to know him? Is because Arion had opened for Wintersun in a couple of shows in Finland. And we had the pleasure of, chit-chatting, talking about a few things. And just at the backstage, I remember in Turku as well, we talked about a little bit about guitar techniques. And just before going on the stage, where was I don't remember the venue. Um, I think it was Kouvola. No, I can't recall. But like just going before the stage, I think Ivo was outside. They did their show, and then we talked a little bit about the gear that what is the gear that we are using. So these were the things that were exciting, and this is what we're gonna do today as well. Due to having these Corona situation going on around here, we are not able to sit down face to face and do this thing. So what are we gonna do is we're gonna bring in now Mr. Ivo as well, and let's give him a warm welcome. Hello, Mr. Ivo. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great actually.
That is
So,
fantastic. That is fantastic. So tell us about like how has everything been going on with you and what have you been up to? What's been going on? You guys just released an album as well. I believe you have had pretty busy time and pretty busy schedules planned till the point this 2021 happened of the case of up and down, upsy daisy, oopsie daisy. But how have you been and what's been happening in your life?
yeah, well, basically, the Vultures Die Alone album was released just a while ago, 9th of April, and before that, it was actually going kind of easy. I was kind of having a little break from this band career thing. I didn't focus on it that much at that point. But after the album got released, it's been like really, really loaded. I've been like really loaded with interviews and stuff like that.
Right.
Lots of them and shit like that. And besides that, I've been teaching guitar a lot, like throughout the year, because that's what I do as well, besides writing Arion songs and
Well, that's
performing
pretty
for
good.
Arion. Yeah,
That is pretty good.
yeah,
So actually it's keeping you busy in a good way, right? It's not
yeah,
like that
exactly.
you're like completely out of doing something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like a full time musician anyway, even though the pandemic is happening. So it's like it's been like
Right.
it feels lucky.
Right. Well, that's a good thing to, keep yourself positive about all the things that are happening around us. So that's a good energy in that sense. Okay, so tell us about what happened in Evo's life that you started thinking about becoming a musician, and where did it all start from? What was the first instrument even that you picked up?
Yeah, well, for me, it started like really early actually because initially, I started playing piano actually like at the age of 10, I guess. It was
Right.
my first instrument, classical stuff, and really quickly it actually changed into like bass guitar, and really quickly after that into electric guitar. And when I picked up the electric guitar, I already knew that I wanted to be a professional musician. Well,
Right.
I come from a family of musicians, so it was like not a very like weird kind of dream to have in my family. So
All
it was
right.
kind of natural.
Cool. Cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So how much can you say you were uh not pressured, but how many people did, push you towards like, okay, this is something that you can do, so go ahead for it. How much support did you have?
I had like a very good support, I'd say. Like nothing like I didn't have like any pressure coming from anywhere, but just positive kind of like support for that. And I was also like told that it's gonna be a heavy amount of work to like at least to like master an instrument or something like
Right.
that. And it really has been, but it really does pay off if you like work really hard. So here we
Certainly.
are.
Certainly. So what happened when what was the first band that really got you going like, ah damn, like this is the way that I want to play my instrument. This is the way that I want to write music, and this is what I want to become. What was the
Yeah,
band? If there was any band, or if there was an artist that you followed.
there absolutely was, because there was absolutely like two of them. Like initially, when I was like 9 years old, I heard Nightwish on like national radio broadcast. Because that's something that actually happened in Finland back in the days. They like
Yeah,
those like mainstream programs. You could hear metal music, and it was like it's like it sounds like really weird to a non-Finnish person, but it's true. And I
right,
heard Nightwish on it, and I was like, okay, what is this? This is like something I really like taking. This is like really awesome, and I started to get like excited about metal music. And after a while, I heard Children of Bodom, and that's something that kind of sparked the idea of like becoming a guitar player. Because it was like
right, right. So Alexei was an influence as well, right?
a big influence. Yeah,
Well, that's
absolutely.
pretty great. So Nightwish, like, okay, that's like a cheesy question in that sense. Like Nightwish, and then a jump to Children of Bodom as well. Like, how was that too? Like, so you were up for having the mellow kind of a vibe to your ears, and then giving a complete harsh vibe to it. I'm not saying that Bodom was always harsh, but like, of course, early days, still harsher music was there. But
Yeah,
so
well,
how would you say balanced out?
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird to think about it right now, because it's like back in the days I
Mm.
kind of didn't feel like they were such different kind of bands. They were just metal. It was like very simple. I was like very much into like Nightwish and Children of Bodom and Lamb of God and all those bands, and
Oh
they were
wow.
just metal.
Mm,
So,
mm.
and Slipknot as well. They were all just metal to me, and nothing else mattered actually.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Cool. Do you remember like your first gig? Which band was it that you went to see?
it was Children of Bodom.
Really? Where was it?
Yeah, in Helsinki Ice Hall. It's
Oh
pretty
wow.
crowded and like really good back
Which
in the
year
days.
would we are talking about? Which year we are talking about?
Which year? Yeah, yeah. Okay, it was. I believe it was like 2008. If I
Wow. Okay.
recall
Cool.
correct. Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 2008, I was already in Finland. I think, do I recall that? Like, what was the year? Wasn't that like right after Are You Dead Yet? No, Are You Dead Yet was around 2006. This would
Yeah,
be
exactly. Blood Drunk was actually
Yes, yes,
that around
exactly.
then. And
Exactly.
actually, now that we're talking about it, I actually even remember that one of my first heavy metal gigs was actually seeing you sing with Kiwas. Back in the days when you just started that. It was one of my
What?
first heavy metal gigs. And yeah,
Really?
that's
Wow.
so weird to think about right now. I've never told
Interesting.
you before that.
Damn, man, I'm not that old. All right, well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was in Nosturi, Helsinki.
Oh, yeah. Were we opening for Turisas?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay, okay, cool, cool. Yeah, that was, I think, 2000 and, what was it, 2010? Yeah,
Yeah.
2010. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. So you were quite like going into the heavy metal scene at that time. Like you used to go to the gigs then.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like
Oh,
after that Bodom gig, I was like really
yeah.
excited about gigs, so I started going.
One of the things that I miss is definitely that I did not use that opportunity that much in those early days. I was too busy like making the connection instead of like going to the gigs. Even if I went to the gigs, I did not really go for the gigs. I went for making connections, talking to people, meeting people, being outside or going to the after parties and so on if I did not end up at the gig. Now I miss it. I mean, like now we don't even have that many venues left either. And then unfortunately, because of this whole shebang that's happening, so like, yeah, you have taken me back to those times, man. It's like, damn, exactly. That's cool. That's cool. And what was your first gig that you did, and where was it?
Well, like I believe my first like gig as a guitarist, like a serious one, could have been actually on national television, because
Holy
we
shit!
because Arion's story is like really stupid. We actually like accidentally kind of ended up on that Eurovision Song Contest qualifier in
Oh
Finland,
wow!
and we ended up in the finals just by accident. We didn't even want to go to Eurovision
Oh
thing,
wow!
but that's
How
what
did that
happened.
happen? How did that happen?
It just happened. Don't ask. But like,
Wow.
yeah, like seriously, just let's say Matthias happened. You know, Matthias happened, and
Right, right.
that's what kind of happened.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. Well, that's one heck of a story right there for you people. Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to tell about chat. Thank you for coming to, checking out the chat with Ivo as well. But the thing that you can do if you have some questions for him as well, please write them and I would grab them in the middle of the conversation that we are having and definitely will be able to ask Ivo those questions also. So keep an eye out in that department. But um coming to the point of knowing a little bit about your history now, how many bands did you create or join? What is the number in that department?
Well, not too many actually, because Arion started like so early. We were
Right,
like 17 or something like that back
right.
in the days. So, but I was in one band before that, which was back then not that serious. It was kind of just like like upper elementary school kids playing metal together. It was a pretty good band actually, but
Do you
like
remember the
not that
name?
serious at all. Yeah, Edge of Haze. Edge
Ace
of Haze.
Edge of Haze.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those
Nice.
guys.
All right. Okay, cool. So I mean like you were already that's the thing that I love about like the whole scene about Finland in that sense as well that all the kids like from the
Together. It was
very
pretty good band actually, but
Do you
like
remember
not
the
that
name?
serious. Yeah, Edge of Haze.
Ace
Edge of Haze.
Hello? I heard double echo. Did you hear as well? I have lost you somehow. Ivo?
Yeah.
I have lost you. Where are you? Okay, we got a little bit of a technical difficulty, people, but I believe you would stick around. Let's solve this online together. Let's see what has happened. Maybe you want to check out. All right. Well, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna fix this. That happens in the live events anyways. Like there are always the technical difficulties. But are you able to hear me? If you're able to hear me, nod your head. Okay, so you're able to hear me, but I'm not able to hear you. So what we're gonna do is try to restart your DAW and restart the loopback. Probably we'll see what happened there. There is a good chance that these two did not speak to each other somehow. So chat, how are you doing? How is life? How is everything? And how is everybody there? And stick around. We're going to have a great chit chat about lots of things, about guitars, about music, about lots of things happening. Never mind. This is all right. This is all right. So you got that connected? Nope. Can't hear you right now. Oh, yeah.
Can
Now.
you hear me now? Yeah.
Now.
Okay. Yeah, it was the loopback shit. I'm sorry, but
No
seriously.
worries. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Don't worry about it. This is the first time using the software. It
yeah,
every
exactly.
time happens. You're not the first one, man. I struggled when I started streaming. It was like pain. I mean, these virtual world of audio stuff, connecting from one place to another, that is a pain. So yeah, we were talking about the first band that you had was in high school,
Yeah.
right? But like this is the thing that I love about like Finnish scene or Finnish like background or like the education in that sense as well, that everybody you can pick up from anywhere is a talented musician, especially who are the musicians like the professional ones. They are like they're already like there, but like even the kids, you can just go on the street and ask a kid like, hey, do you play any instrument? Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, well, what do you play? Piano? And then it's like, not really good. And he sits down and starts playing all these Beethoven things and everything like that. So everybody's kind of like super talented in that sense. Now, you talked about high school. Did you take any musical the like education there as well, or was it just like okay, high school band, like high school guys hanging around and making the music, or
Yeah, I've been through like lots of musical education actually. Like since I started those lessons like back in the days, you know.
Mhm.
Then I've gone into I went into that like musically emphasized upper elementary school. Then after that, a musically emphasized high school, you know, and after that, I went to like pop jazz conservatory in Helsinki. So I'm a
Wow.
pretty like musically educated guy actually.
Wow.
That's
Ladies and
what's
gentlemen,
going
by
on.
the way, just letting you know that this guy gives guitar lessons as well. So if you're interested to get some, shred up your
Oh,
sleeves, then definitely hook
okay.
him up. And how can they contact you? That's the question. In the video description down there are all the links. One of them could be access to you, for instance, Instagram and Facebook. Could they contact you through that?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, either one works like really good actually.
Oh,
So
that's good. That is good. That is good.
hit me up.
Yep, definitely. So now you talked about your influence regarding Alexei Laiho. Now tell me, was he the influence for you to get to ESP?
Yeah, of course. He kind of mattered when it comes to that, you know, because
Right.
I kind of wanted to endorse ESP like since I was a little kid, you know. It's kind of cool to see all those like signature guitars there, you know, and shit like that going on, you
But
know.
Signature's guitar did exist in other companies as well?
Yeah, yeah, they did, but the ESPs was like like really well like emphasized, you know. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's how it like seemed at least to a little kid, you know. So
Right.
that's what happened. And when I was in high school, I actually played different guitars. I played mayonnaise guitars, you know. It
Oh
was
wow.
I was like pretty happy with them, but then like I got pretty unhappy with them actually at one point because they were actually like not for me, I'd say. And then I got offered that like really like generous offer by ESP, you know.
Right, 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 right.
And after trying out the guitars, I was like sold, you know. I was like, okay,
So
this is gonna
what was the
happen.
first guitar? Like what was the first guitar? Let's talk about even before ESP. What was the first guitar that you ever had? Which company was
Yeah,
it?
Yamaha, I believe. It was like a
Cool.
Japanese, you know, like
Interesting.
yeah,
Right,
really
right.
interesting.
Now which
Yeah,
shape was it? Strat shaped?
Strat, yeah,
All right.
definitely
Okay.
super Strat.
Right, right. And what about ESP? What was the first ESP guitar that you had?
I believe it was like this kind of like Alexis signature kind of thing, you know, which
Mm-hmm.
I kind of abandoned quite soon because it was not suitable for like little kids back then, you know. So yeah, it was kind of it's really big, you know. It feels like really big for like when you're like kind of small, you know. So I
Right.
don't recommend those for like little kids.
Oh
But yeah,
dang.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened. But after that, I've been playing like Strat guitars, like pretty exclusively, you know. So
Right.
that's my
Yeah.
thing.
So nowadays you're with the Horizons. Or
Yeah, exactly.
right, exactly. Now talk about now how like I'm jumping back and forth, I'm gonna go from history to like the past, present, and even we'll touch a little bit of the future. We'll
Yeah,
give the glimpse of the future, ladies and gentlemen, to you. But the question that I had regarding already the present is like it's already amazing to see that you already have a custom shop with ESP, which does not happen that easily, of course. I mean, you have to be at a certain level to be able to, bring forth an idea to a company that, okay, thanks for endorsing, first of all, but then like giving a custom shop. And that piece is beautiful. By the way, people who you don't know about, which we are talking about, you could definitely able to go and see in the Instagram of Iivo, which the links you will find in the description, and check out that beauty. Or you can go to Musa Mailma's website and check it out there as well. So tell us about the history behind that. How did that happen? And when you heard about it, that you had an opportunity like that, what did you feel? Like, what was the feeling? Like, holy shit, the company that, as a kid, I wanted to be like a part of, now I'm getting a custom shop. Like, what the?
yeah. It was like really like exciting, you know. But because it was like I was kind of like it was a year ago for starters, you know, and And I was kind of like wondering about that for a while. I had been doing that, and at one point I just decided to ask if it's the time, for that.
Right.
And the reply was like definitely yes, like you really deserve that kind of an instrument, which was like really hard work. And I was like, okay, let's go for it then. And I was like kind of wondering if I should like wait a little longer or something like that. But
Right.
then the CEO of Musa Maailma was like, yeah, we're gonna do this, because you just need to like hit the go button,
Well,
with
that's
with, with a
pretty
dream
sweet.
like that.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it
sweet.
was like really sweet. Yeah, exactly. So that's how it happened, and I had like pretty clear vision about my guitar. It was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a Horizon, but with that 24/7/5 scale, which was like really really exciting for me because I'm a small dude. I'm like
Right.
what. I'm like 170 tall, like six and five, I think, or something like that. So
Right.
it was like pretty obvious that I need a smaller guitar, with like to be easier, and everything else was kind of like more minor, like little changes in the like positions of those like pots, and
Right. Right. Right.
like
Right.
mic switch and shit like that. And but the weird thing is that the guitar sounds like really different from my previous ESPs, even though it's almost the same guitar. Custom
Mm-hmm.
shop makes a difference. Definitely.
Exactly. I mean, different wood, of course, different touch, different feel, different personality, of course, right? But did
Exactly,
you
exactly.
stick with the same wood as well that the ones that you have been using with your Horizons?
I did with the exactly same wood, because I
Mm,
was kind of like really happy with the sound of my previous guitars,
right.
E2 guitars. They were like really perfect, and what happened was that I got an even more perfect sounding guitar.
Right.
It's weird that it's a 24/7/5 scale, but it sounds like way brighter and more
Hmm.
balanced than those 25.5 guitars, which is like pretty
Interesting.
exciting.
So, what are
Yeah.
the woods that? Well, tell us a little bit the specs about the guitar.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, it's 24/7/5 scale Floyd Rose guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that God of Floyd Rose going on.
Uh
Which
huh.
is a lower,
Okay.
which is a lower profile than the original Floyd Rose, which I like better. And I
Mm-hmm.
also like the kind of stiffer feel of that God of vibrato. It's like it's not as floppy as Floyd Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of like about it. It's got EMG 5766 pickups, which are
Fifty-seven,
my
66. Yeah. Right. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, which
Mm-hmm.
are my go-to,
Okay. Okay.
pickups. I really love that pickup combination, and to complement that, the woods are mahogany body. It's nothing special. It's not Honduran mahogany or anything like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just mahogany. Then there's like African ebony on the like fretboard.
Fretboard.
And yeah, exactly, and the neck is, I believe it's maple. So it's a five
So it's a
piece, I
five-piece.
think so.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's a 5 piece or it's a 3 piece. Actually, it's 3 piece. It's maple mahogany maple. Yeah, it's
Right.
3 piece. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but that's how it works. That's how it
Okay.
works, and it's
What
pretty
about
solid.
is it a set through or neck through or
It's a net through, actually. Yeah, it's a net
uh-huh.
through. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
And what about the tuning pegs?
Yeah, well, the tuning packs they are gone as well, and they are locking tuners actually,
Mm-hmm.
which is a weird choice for some people, with the
Mm-hmm.
Floyd Rose, but for me it actually makes sense. I
All
like it
right.
that way.
What
Yeah.
would be the reason that you would go with a lock and tuner on of already on a
Uh,
Floyd?
it's actually that I just like to do the string chases in a traditional way, instead of like going through those tuners first and going to the Floyd. I just
Mm-hmm.
like to do it the vice versa way, which makes more sense to me. I just used to that. I used to
Mm-hmm.
play a fixed pitch guitar for a long time, and that's why I do it that way.
Right, 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 right. Interesting. Interesting. So now that this was your first custom shop, right? And I
Exactly.
believe hopefully in the future there would be many more coming as well. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But like now, right now, how many guitars? Not ex- Let's exclude other guitars. How many ESP guitars are you owning at the moment?
Well, I own only ESP guitars, and and,
Oh,
and I
wow.
have yeah, and I have six of them. Yeah,
All
I have
right.
six Horizons and one bass guitar on top of that.
I
So it's
see.
like
I see.
yeah.
So how many do you take when you go on a tour, for instance, or any shows? How many guitars do you tend to go with?
it's usually been 3 guitars. In Finland, I've been just 2 guitars,
Right.
but nowadays that we have two different sets of tunings, like you
Mm-hmm.
guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have drop C and drop C sharp. I'm gonna have to take at least 4, because it makes sense.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, but I haven't quite solved yet the problem of going to like abroad festivals. It has to be something else, probably like 3 guitars or something like that, kind of a compromise, and just
Right.
have to hope that no, there will be no
Nothing
stick break.
happens in that sense.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Probably, yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Well, that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. So now, talking about guitars in that sense as well. What about the strings? Which strings do you tend to go with?
Yeah, well, that was actually one of the reasons for that 24/7 5 scale as well, because
Mm-hmm.
I have those 2 sets of tunings, drop C and drop C sharp, and I want to balance them out. I like to use 10 to 52 on drop C. It's a pretty well balanced, light kind of string set, which really works with my playing.
Mm-hmm.
And and uh, on drop C sharp on my custom shop, I'm going for that same string gauge. It's
Right.
actually even more perfect in that, because it's a little bit tighter, but at the same time the bending is like really easy.
Right.
But I used to play 10 to 50 actually on drop C sharp, which is like
Aha.
yeah, which is like 11s on the bottom and 10s on the top, which was actually quite good for that tuning, except
Uh-huh.
for the higher strings maybe being a little bit tight for my taste, because I want really easy bending, and
Mm-hmm.
I like that like really strong transient which comes out from like playing like really not too heavy strings,
Mm-hmm.
because lighter strings kind of emphasize that attack and transient, on the string. It kind of saturates more, but it also doesn't have that sustain. The sustain kind of dies earlier,
Okay.
and I like it that way. The Zach Wild kind of tone,
Mm-hmm.
not that much sustain, which comes from the gain, like comes back from the gain, but I like to have that transient like really emphasized, especially with EMGs. It makes a lot of sense because
Mm-hmm.
EMGs give a lot of sustain, but they kill those dynamics a little bit. But you can bring them back by playing like lighter strings. It works that way. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I figured it out. And on E standard play 9 to 46, it makes sense to me.
All right. All right. What about the string company? Like, which company do you tend to go with, and
I'm
what is
playing
the
DR.
reason? And
I'm,
what is
I'm
the
playing DR.
what is the reason
Reason.
behind it?
Reason behind that is that kind of to go and try them initially when I started to work with Musa Maailma, because they are the distributor for DR strings as well. And I kind of fell in love with them because, many people have like weird opinions on DR strings,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. But I really like them. They're like I'm not looking for durability. I don't need them to like sustain long periods of times. I just need them
Okay.
to work for 1 or 2 gigs. That's important for me.
Right.
And
Right.
they sound really good, and example that drop down tuning set they are like selling, it's really good for down tuned metal. It stays really tight. I really love playing those strings. It's like
Okay.
way
I have
easier
to
than
give them a try. I think I did try DR strings like about 10 years ago, and I can't remember anything about them. So I have to definitely give them a try.
you
Um,
should try the drop down tuning set. It really works for
mhm,
drop C or something like that.
right. But I have to check the gauges as well because I have transferred into very, very heavy gauge nowadays. So I'm not certain that they might have it, obviously. I mean, every company has a heavier gauge in that sense, but in comparison to, because we had been using Diodario, then we use now, had been using Dunlop as well. So we're gonna definitely test it out what DR is able to do
Yeah, what
because
is your gauge? Is it like 11 to 56 or something like that? What is yours?
mine is 12 to 60
Really? That's heavy.
on. Yeah, that is slightly heavier on the 25.5 scale, but like one step down and dropped. So that is
Yeah.
even with the standard like step down, I still use 12 to 60. Even though like with the drop, I am thinking to bring 62 on it because any note down gauge needs to come up and so on and so on.
Exactly. You need to
So
balance it out. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. So I mean, there might be some option. I should definitely give it a try because um Yeah, well, the durability, of course, is very important to me, but at the same time, the tone is very, very necessary. So tone is something that I'm striving for, which is gonna handle with my, heavy gauge, and because Yari has been using 10 to 52 for a long period of time, and with the step down. And then Temu was using 11 to 56, but then he dropped as well to 10 to 52 and with 54 on the lower, uh, you know, bringing the D to C. So he put 56. What did he put? I don't remember. 11 to 56, then 10 to 52. I think he did put 56 on it as well.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
sure.
Makes sense.
Not sure. So, but
Would make sense at least.
exactly, because it in all the tours, at least, I have used 11 to 56, like all the time. But like lately, about a year ago, I went to 12 to 60. I was like, okay, well, this is not really doing it for me. Like, I need more heavier stuff. But of course, that is, Evertune. Evertune is that is something that you have probably not tried, or you did try on some of our guitars, didn't you?
You mean like heavier gauge strings?
No, Evertune, the bridge.
Evertune, yeah. I haven't tried.
Right.
Like,
The only
but I imagine it's very different.
Right, exactly. So I mean that in a way that the gauge does not depend on it, because you still are gonna stay in tune no matter what. So it's all about your right hand. So you how hard you hit, how low you hit. Because now if I play that with a proper gauge on like a tunomatic bridge or a fixed bridge, it's gonna be a complete different story. I would not be able to
Exactly.
stay in tune, because you learn in a way to start smacking the strings openly without even thinking about it. Like, you can hit hard as you want to bring that dynamic, and still the string would remain in tune.
Yeah,
But
I know.
yeah, durability is something that I'm curious about, because I love to have them, like, not worry about after 5 days of playing the guitar when you buy a new string and playing it at home, or playing it like just at the studio just like that, and then you're like, where the heck is the sound? I mean, like, at least on a show, on a tour, it makes sense. Like, after 2 days, you change them. 2 days, 2 shows, 3 shows, max, you change them. Like, I went up to 4 shows with Dunlop, maximum, or something like this. And what about the picks? Which picks do you use?
Well, I'm using usually. Actually, I've been always using these, Jazz Tree Tordex 1.4D millimeter
Uh huh.
picks, which is
Uh huh.
a pretty good like go-to pick.
The
It's like
black one, right?
yeah, the black one, the pitch black one.
Mm
The
hmm. Mm hmm.
Tordex one. Yeah, it's
Right.
pretty good. And I've mainly chosen it for rhythm parts. That's the reason, because I can get that one kind of like really really good chucky 16th note palm mute sound with that pick, which is like something that me and Matthias Kupiani especially are after. That kind
Mm
of like thing on rhythm guitars.
hmm.
I used to play bigger picks, like those really basic Dunlop, like those purple ones,
The
which have that
1.14
yeah,
Tortex,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Mm hmm.
Which have that crocodile on the on
Oh,
the pick.
crocodile on them. So they are the
Yeah,
gator
crocodile.
ones. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
exactly.
Okay.
It was, yeah. I used to play them because they were like I used to play a lot of like jazzier stuff.
Right.
I've been playing
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing like that kind of musician music as well. So it's like that made sense. But nowadays, as I play metal, I just couldn't get the rhythm tone out of them. It's like
Yeah, it's
doesn't
too smooth in that
exactly
sense.
it
It's just
doesn't give the edge. Yeah, exactly.
rounded.
And exactly, I had to use a lot of force like that. My whole idea of my technique is basically to use as little force as possible. So
Right.
it didn't work with my picking. But nowadays I've been also using recording these titanium picks made by this guy called Otto Hannuksela,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
who's a
Yeah.
Finnish guy. Yeah, I've been using them
Mm.
a lot. I was one of the first guitar players in Finland actually to use them together with Matthias. So
Uh-huh.
I really like them. Like
Okay.
seriously, they're like really good picks. like maybe a bit too expensive for playing live, you know. but
Yeah,
but you know, because if
exactly.
you lose them, you're not gonna be able to have 500 of them on the tour because because you will be like really poor person
Exactly. It can. But how about the durability of that pick as well? How long does it last for?
forever.
Really?
literally literally forever. Yeah, it doesn't wear down. It's like titanium doesn't wear down at all, so it's like basically I have just a couple of them for recording and that's it, you know. So it's like
Damn,
that's my
man, I
choice.
need to give it a shot as well. If
Give
that's
it like 2 or 3 shots maybe.
exactly, I mean, if that is the case, then hell yeah, one pick for life, man. Hell yes, not on tour though. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
I'm literally the guy that throws the most picks like after usage because I tend to really wear my picks down very fucking fast. Very fucking fast. So I mean like
I guess.
especially the Tortex material does not work with me. I
Yeah,
mean,
I guess.
after a session of 4 hours, 5 hours of playing, I'm ready to throw the pick away. Like all my old picks, I'm like, hell with that. Ultex is a good material. Ultex lasts longer in that sense, but yeah, no. But I'm gonna give it a try. Like we're gonna talk about it afterwards. You need to get me in touch with that guy. That'd be good.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So okay, talking about that. Um, have you been, because I have noticed as well that you have been the amp guy uh, quite some time,
Yeah.
but on certain occasions I did come across that you were using Kemper.
No, I was not actually not using camper. I was using so
You were
it's a
using
different story. Yeah.
XFX,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, okay. But you prefer to go with XFX around, or do you prefer to have the real deal, as they say?
Well, as soon as I picked up the XFX, I was definitely gonna prefer the XFX because it was just so much easier and it was like also it made the stage like a whole lot quieter. You know, when I started
Right,
using like in ears, I didn't have to have need to have those like 4 cabinets behind me, you know,
right.
because it made no sense anymore. And I actually I used to play a real amp gig just like you mentioned, you know, Fryet stuff, you know, it sounded
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. And I had lots of like analog pedals and a system for switching them as well, like really good, you know. But I just didn't want to do it anymore, as it was like it was getting a really loud, like 100 decibels, something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
that didn't make any sense anymore. It was like kind of horrible. So when I went for the in-ears, you know, and started playing the XFX, I could also like start utilizing that MIDI switching system via the backtracks, you know, which is your
Life
system as
easier.
well. Exactly.
Exactly.
I just want to perform. I don't want to be stepping, you know, because I just want to step on the wah, you know. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only thing I want to step on. So that's what I've
Right.
been doing. And like little changes like here and there, you know, comparing sounds, comparing amps, you know, it was made just so much easier. So I
Mm-hmm.
was pretty happy with it, like
Right.
for a good while.
Right. But what is your say regarding the digital sound and the real sound, as they say, the real sound, analog sound? What is
Yeah,
your
well,
preference in that sense?
yeah, well, I definitely prefer real amps when it comes to like recording because
Okay.
it really does make a difference there. Because for example, we reamped and recorded with a lot of like real amps in the studio regarding this new Arion album, you know, and you could really hear the difference that it's like just way, you know, stronger, like still, you know. But when you
Mm-hmm.
compare it to something like the quad chords, you know, like neural DSP stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's getting really close, and I wouldn't playing real amps instead of the quad cordex, for example, in live situations, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to compare like I was actually on a comparison session, which was a promotional session for neural DSP, and I
Exactly.
couldn't tell the difference between a real 5150 and this, you know, quad cordex which captured it. I was like, seriously, this is exactly. And I have I really like, you know, precise dynamics on my picking hand, so I can like really hear those details, you know, that digging, all that stuff, you know. And I
Right.
was like, I can't make any sense this. Like seriously, which one is it? Is this the real amp? No, it's the Quartex. Okay, I was like
Exactly.
blown away.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
they are really matched nowadays. So I
Ex-
wouldn't buy a real amp these days anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I remember it as well, like when after the first, I think after Pliny came out, we were visiting the headquarters, and by that time they were doing the capture of 5150. And I personally preferred the capture sound than the real amp sound. This was my take, and that's already like 3 years ago. So if 3 years ago they were able to do those kind of things, like now with the Cortex,
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
it's like, what's the need? Because at the end of the day, what you're only missing is actually the vibrance or the vibration of the sound that came out of the cabinet, basically nothing else, because the
Exactly.
sound is
Exactly.
literally the same. The only thing that you miss and you feel is the reason that, oh, I love the analog sound so much because on stage the presence is missing.
Exactly. Yeah, you have
That
to be like incredibly biased if you're gonna prefer the real amp. You're gonna have to be like really much into like that analog stuff and really digging it like
Yeah,
for no reason, pretty
for
much.
no reason, basically. I mean, like
Yeah,
if you talk about the parameters, if you talk about like the real statistics in that sense,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
nearly
exactly.
99.9%, like exactly the same.
Exactly.
Even if
And
it is 90% the same, like why the fuck do you want to carry, at least on a tour, why do you want to carry 20 kilos of
exactly,
stuff like?
exactly. You're just gonna make everyone's life worse, and it's gonna cost
Exactly.
money.
Exactly. I mean, like, why
For
do you want to
example,
become Momstein all the time? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like add drums and bass on top of that model sound, and it's the same for everyone. Like seriously.
mhm.
So
And now many people are gonna come around and say like, okay, then don't even take like the real drums, then just take electric drums and so on. Well, how many of the fucking bass drum like you do trigger? So it's just a
exactly.
showcase as well. You can even make a plastic box out of it, which you can wrap open and close. You know, at the end of the day, like people are using triggers anyways. So what the hell? I mean, the whole
Exactly.
phenomenon of the old school vibe has changed in that department. So
Exactly.
my
You
reasoning of asking was this: that if you were, what was the reason for you to prefer a real amp then in the studio, besides not coming close to, you know, having that initial thought that, okay, well, wait a minute, so this is as close as it gets. Why to use a real amp?
Well, it was actually simply because the quad core wasn't quite ready then, so we
Mm.
didn't have like that many options when it comes to like those modeled neural DSP amps. We just had the Pliny, we had the Omega, and we had the NTS as well. But those weren't really cutting it for us, They weren't
Ah,
just
okay.
the tone we needed, So, and Matthias had this like really awesome collection of those amps, so
Oh
they
yeah.
were ready already.
Mm.
So why not use them? It was like really easy. But like to funny that I mentioned those real amps because we actually used modeled boosters in front of them. They were coming from the door. Into the amps. So it was like it was kind of funny. It was pretty digital after all, and there was no
Right.
mic either. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's
Because I
like,
remember Matthias telling me about it, because we're gonna get to that as well. Like, and I was like, well, I mean, okay. Right.
yeah, it might sound weird for some, but yeah, there was just there was actually like really weird because those like reamps actually gave more options in that
Right.
situation because there were just not so many good plugins ready at the moment.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
and the XFX doesn't quite cut it
Mm-hmm.
after
Mm-hmm.
all on an album.
Sure. Sure. I get it. I get it. I honestly speaking, since even like, I think I've tried XFX a couple of times before joining Wintersun as well. I never was a big fan of XFX. But then, as the setup was going through with Wintersun, anyways, with the XFX, and we've been using like XFX 1, like, since the band has been using that one since forever, and the same patch,
I
like,
know.
same patches. It's like, what the fuck? So, um, I eventually gave up my hands up. I was like, okay, you do what you do, and I just get used to it. And it took me really a long time. Like I had to literally boost up even with my in ears. Like, of course, the in ear monitoring, of course, changes everything depending on what kind of transmitter are you using or the unit that you're using. It was like, what the hell is going on? So I wasn't really a big fan of XFX sound or the things that you can do with because I tried my best. The worst user interface on a fucking software as well that I've come across. It was so difficult. If you compare it to Neural DSP kind of, vibe to it, or even Line 6 Helix's software as well. Like it just if you have to do it like manually on XFX, like sitting there doing it manually without that software, I would absolutely like go bald like by just pulling my hair out. I would never be able to do
Exactly.
that. I would rather than prefer to carry a fucking 15 or 20 kilo of a whole, you know, cabinet and an amp, like to go in a venue just to tweak like 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, that's done next. Instead of
Exactly.
what is this, what this,
Yeah,
like
like
what?
lock, navigate, pages, whatever. Like seriously, it was
Whoa,
horrible.
that was some spaceship kind of like rocket science bullshit happening. Exactly. But that was my experience. But I've been hearing great stuff about XFX 3. They have
Yep.
upped their game a lot and this and that. Like, is it 3 unit rack as well? I think so. Was it 3 unit or something, something? But anyways, like, still, I am not gonna. If you compare that to Quad Cortex, which is just like, hello, it's right this size. Okay, let's put it in
Yeah,
the
just put it in your
backpack.
pocket.
Yeah,
Your pocket, actually. Yeah.
that's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure. Give it 5 years. I'm definitely gonna push Francesco to do that. Like, dude,
Exactly.
how about we
Bunch
shove
of
it in
like
iPhone? And call it a day. Call it a day. Exactly.
exactly.
That's gonna be fun stuff. Okay, but talk about the album now. Vultures Die Alone. Now, how does the songwriting process actually start for you? We are now getting to the present form of talking about the equipment and now coming to the point. Like, how do you tend to write your music? What goes in the mind of Ivo that goes like, wait a minute, click, and the song has started to come? What happens?
Yeah, well, despite being a guitar player, I'm really all about that, vocal melody and lyrics and that kind of stuff. So it's like really songwriting, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you may, like in the traditional way. I like to improvise on piano, and try different things, and then I might come up with an idea for a melody, and then start building around that. And the riffs I come up with are usually something that complement the, like, little like band hooks here and there to emphasize that kind of, like that hit over there, and we need to, like, have those happening with the band as well. And the last comes the orchestration, which starts building around that. And of course, sometimes there are riffs which happen first, and on top of that I start building. But for example, I like nearly never write a chorus without like writing the melody first, or an idea of that melody first. So it's like pretty vocal based for me. And
Right.
sometimes I even write some lyrics like beforehand, before starting to, like,
Nice.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so how about like, do you sit down because I know, but like we both know how different or interesting the songwriting process can be around from talking about from generation to a generation, right? Even I have met some young musicians today in this time as well that are very adamant about recording it on their phone and recording it on a 8 track. Some of them have them because of their parents and whatnot. Or then I meet the older generation as well, which is very adamant about like, wait a minute, I need to have that, full on studio before I can write anything. Or so
Mhm.
there's a different procedure around. So how does it happen in your case? Do you tend to wanting to work with the whole band in a rehearsal place, or do you just write down things in your um you hook up your interface to your laptop wherever you are, or how do you put down the ideas? What's the shebang?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, it starts like with improvised, with just really, really, really like
Sure.
kind of like mediocre sound. Like nothing fancy, it doesn't have to sound good, but if it sounds good on that mediocre sound, it's gonna be good. And after that, I start like building the like if you orchestration, if you may, which means that I start recording stuff, like programming drums and like setting the
So
tempo,
meaning
yeah.
you use your laptop or you use your computer to start
Yeah,
initiating all that.
computer, absolutely. Like
Right.
tend to create a lot of tracks for the demos as well. So
Right. Right.
it's like pretty production
Right.
kind of a method. No A
Right.
track or no like no shit like
That
that.
that what I meant. Like yeah, right,
Yeah,
right, right. So preferably starting to do everything alone, kind of.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right. And then I remember that Topias has contributed as well quite much in Arion's writing also. So how do you two connect in that sense? Like, where is that? Because if you are doing it alone, does he do it alone? Then you send the files back and forth, or
Well, it pretty much goes like
Topias, by the way, is the drummer of the band. Sorry, I did not mention that. For those who do not know, because I
yeah,
did
that's true.
mention that he's been the guy who has actually recorded, edited our True Cult Club's video also, which was Saeed in Sonic Palm Studios. So just to clarify who Topias is, right? So
Yeah, yeah, he
please.
does contribute. It's basically the way it usually goes. Many of the songs I just write myself. Go from the start. Build up those things. Up to a point where we go together with Topias, just the two of us to a rehearsal room. And kind of
Mhm.
start. Like finding those little drum hooks here and there. Kind of like polishing. What I've like come up with in terms of drums. Just to make it
Mhm.
even more like detaily, if you may. And sometimes like there are some songs in which like Topias, because he's a good guitar player as well, he does riffs, orchestration and stuff like that, but without any vocals. And that's where I come into play. He sends the song to me and like, this needs vocals. Can you do that? Okay, yeah, sure. I'll work on that, and then I start building on top of what he has come up with.
Right.
So there are two ways of writing an Arion song, but the more common one is that I write, the almost whole thing.
Right. Right. Right.
That's how it basically goes. And so the vocals are always my job. But when it comes to, for example, the guitars by Topias, I like nearly never change them because they are like, the riffs are like really good already. So it just
Interesting.
doesn't like, yeah, exactly. Not many people would like think it goes like that with
Right.
us, but it really does. It's like vocals are my territory, and some, of course, like many of the songs are mine like completely. But
Mm.
when Tobias writes something, it's the guitar riffs,
Right.
and I just come on top of the no
So
vocals.
how about like vocals now? How do you come up with that? So do you consider to be able to sing as well the same melodies, or do you just make the melodies? Do you put them down because of piano or on the guitar, or how does that work?
It's with like basically with piano and melodies, and it's actually pretty much like a kind of a structuring technique. I kind of like see that that's that little motive over there, I'm gonna move it here and repeat it here, and like this is gonna form a hook, and here's gonna be the center line. So it's gonna be on top of that, and below here. That's how it kind of works. It's like I have certain like techniques for that, so it's not like
Mm.
that. How do you say, it's not like very like just humming over a piano. It's not that kind of thing for me.
Right. Right. Right.
Or like more like structuring. And
Right.
that's how I come up with them. And I have no problem with singers ranges. Uh, that's kind of my specialty. I kind of know how singers can sing certain kind of notes, how they're gonna sound at which range. That's kind of what I've been studying a lot. So,
Right. Right.
so
So you
that's how it
definitely
works for me.
keep the singer in mind regarding that. Okay, well, he is not able to, might not be able
All
to
the
push
time.
this one. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
all the time, like all the time. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what about then the lyrics? Like who handles the main job of the lyrics? Who comes with the concept? Or
It's
let's
me.
say,
It's me.
all right. Okay.
Yeah, I write all of the lyrics for Arion. It's my job also.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's interesting. So you kind of like leave the singer to have the least worrisome job, basically. Just come in, record it, do the thing, have a good day, perform it the way that it's supposed to, and
Yeah,
have a good
exactly.
day.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. It's actually commit a lot into that like vocal production stage as well, which is like because I have like a really like precise vision when it comes to like how the vocals are supposed to be and what kind of like emphasis do we want to have, what kind of like sounds here and there. That's kind of my territory as well. So
Right.
the singer just does his best, and he adds some spice to it, of course, because the singer sounds how he sounds.
Right. Interesting. So what about the orchestration? Like, do you tend to have the basic idea, but at the end of the day, is there somebody that helps you with the full production of the orchestration? Do you tend to use the real orchestras? It depends on the budget, of course, but like, do you have somebody who really sits down and makes them for you?
Yeah, well, in our case, it has actually not been about the budget because only on our first album we've had that real orchestra.
Right,
which which kind of might sound funny, but yeah, even back then pretty good budget actually. So that's
right,
not been a problem. But on the first album when we had the real orchestra, we had a guy to help finish the orchestrations,
right.
the arrangements and make the notations and shit like that. And nowadays we do it by ourselves. From those songs which I write entirely, I come like really close demo of the orchestration, like stems and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we finish it together with Tobias, because Tobias is like really good at programming. He's like really good with audio engineering and stuff like that. So
Right,
that's how
right.
we did that. Also, in case of Tobias's songs, I go and sit down with him, and we combine our ideas, and I help him a lot when it comes to that. So we do it by ourselves. We don't have anyone else to do it for us. And even when there are like real instruments, like individual instruments from the orchestra, we just write down the notation ourselves, and
Right.
that's how it works. So it's
Well,
pretty much it's just our territory.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So how would you say, how has been the response of the latest release? Like, of course, this is a question that everybody asks, man, and this is a question I hear asked by all the journalists, and everybody says it's a fucking great response. Feedback has been just tremendous. It's like the best thing ever on this planet. It's like amazing. It's the best thing. Like, oh my god, our fans are the best in the world. Of course, who says their fans are shittiest in the world? Nobody would say that. Let's be frank here. In this
Yeah.
time, I remember very well that Arion had been looked at, laughed at, you know, and thrown out of the back like this, right? And this was a sign for you to. Vultures Die Alone has a history behind it too, as well, why you came up with that thing, right? So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about that, and tell us now, when you have released the album like this, like a Pam, like a slap on a face, man. How does that feel? What does the feedback gives you in that sense? Is it like, we did it, here it is, or is it more like, wait a minute, there's more to it? Like, of course, in the future there will be more to it, but tell us a little bit more behind the story. That why did you have that feel that you wanted to bring out, the message that you wanted to give? What was the message? And the feedback then you got after showcasing that, hey, this was the message, you were laughing. Like, now who's laughing? Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more
Well,
about that.
yeah, kind of. I really feel sorry for us that we've been laughed at, like seriously. But yeah, if you say so. But yeah, just joking. Well, it
No,
was kind
because
of
the Eurovision thing, and the
yeah, yeah,
mindset
yeah,
of
yeah.
how the
Like
things
it was,
are.
it was a joke, bro. So,
Yeah, I know.
well,
Hey, I'm in Wintersun. What do you think? I mean, we are in a band. which is constantly fucking laughed at. So I mean,
I
that's
totally forgot about that. Sorry, man. But yeah, like seriously, this is too funny now. But
right,
yeah,
right.
what kind of happened was that I knew that we were gonna like really surprise everyone with this album because it was just so much heavier, so much more modern, you know, than anyone would expect. Like you're like exactly right in that many people are just assuming that by even by the name or like previous artwork, people were just like thinking that okay, this is just some shitty power metal band. Let's not even listen to it. You know, it's shit
Hmm.
even if you don't listen to it. You know. So what happened now was that we like really, you know, kind of showed that we are not this kind of like generic melodic metal band. You know, we are something like really different, and it's been noticed too, which is like the like main like really you know positive thing about the response of the crowd, you know. So it's like really heartwarming to see that people are finally starting to realize that this is something else than just generic power metal, you know.
Right,
And I really hope that for example like some people who chance previously or have given us just one chance and didn't like it will give us another chance, you know. And
right,
for example on my interviews regarding like USA, you know, there have been really many like journalists who have mentioned that this is an album that could like really get some good, you know, coverage and like
hmm,
fan base in the States, which is like really positive. It basically it's telling that it's a really modern album and it's a
right,
very international sounding album. So that's what I think about Response. That's what's positive about
right. Well, that's pretty nicely said. Yeah, exactly. Because this is what I want to get out. You know, instead of the same journalistic and question, which is like, so how was the
it.
like,
It's been so amazing,
yeah,
you know,
it
man.
was
You man, fans
amazing,
need to,
right? Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
I wish, by the way, if there's many journalists like watching this as well, could learn a bit about from the same thing. Like, just let's just ask the something else of a question that the previous one and the previous one before that and the one before him didn't ask or did ask. It would be great. By the way, I have a question for you from Haiti, who is asking that I wonder what's Ivo's favorite part of writing lyrics. That's a great question. It's a great
That
question.
is a great question. That's a really great question, actually. And I have to really think about this because I believe it's my favorite part about writing lyrics is definitely not the moment when I have to come up with, you know, fill the syllables everywhere, like
Mm-hmm.
like because that's the most difficult part always. But the most satisfying part probably is that when you start to get the flow going, you know, you realize that you have the subject, you have those first lines, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you end up with the punchline, which is like really strong and solid. You might even change that at that point, but it doesn't matter because you get the flow going and it starts just happening like really easy, and that's
Mm-hmm.
my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
So
actually really easy to say that.
how do you start the lyrical formation? Do you what's now the lyrical writing structure that you have? Is it so that you come up with the story first, or is it so that you come up with the how does it work for you?
Yeah, well, first I just kind of try to you
We lost you there for a moment. What did you say, please?
like okay, yeah, so first I kind of try to like understand the music I'm writing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the music I listen to, like what is this saying, you know, what is this like what is this song about, and then I start kind of narrowing those like feelings or like ideas, you know, as
Mm-hmm.
much as possible up until I come up with a punchline, you know,
Right.
which might not be the one that's gonna be the chorus punchline of the song, but something that
Right.
just narrows down the subject, you know. And then I start writing here and there, and just writing those lines and tweaking them where they might fit, like not from the start to the end, you know, but like this might work here, you know, because the syllables work here. Then I start like matching, you know, those rhymes like even within the lines, you know, like not
Right.
just the final words, you know, but also in the middle of the lines, you know.
Right.
And that's how I kind of come up with like ideas. And like what I always try to do as well is like I kind of try to make it as personal as I can.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, it actually way easier. I started to come up with like lyrics way faster than previously when I started to realize that this has to be personal, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
and 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 one thing that I could give an advice for every lyric writer in the world, is that you need to exaggerate as much as you can. You need to be like really really powerful with your like idioms, stuff like that. Don't be a wuss. You have to like
Right.
really exaggerate. That's metal.
Over the top.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be the best song in the world. It's the best lyrics, best thing ever.
Everything's best. Best
Every-
fans.
The best thing's gonna be happening. So we're gonna pull it off. It's gonna be the best thing you're gonna hear. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bam. Right. Okay, that's cool. What is the favorite song of yours on the album? If there is any.
Yeah,
Like, because it's very hard when you create the album as well. It's like, I don't know if I have any favorites of them, because this is good, this is good, this is good. But like something that goes like, wait a minute, this comes first in my head. Like, this could be the song that I would like to, tell people to go check it out.
It's really easy actually for me. It's Bloodline. Bloodline
All
with
right.
Alone is the best song because it's just really solid. I have a really big theme going on in there, and it's like composition wise, it's even though I'm not talking about production or like about the style of the song. Some people might not find an epic song like that as their thing. But
Right.
composition wise, when you just strip it down to an acoustic guitar and singing, it's
Mhm,
really
mhm,
good. That's what I'm talking about, and that's why
Right.
I'm like really happy with that song. It's the
Right.
best song on the album.
So how was that thing that happened? You got 2 featured vocalists on the album as well, right? How did that come about? Whose idea was that, and why did you tend to do that?
Yeah, well,
And who were they?
it's-
You have to tell that as well.
of course, yeah. We have 2 guest vocalists. One is Nora Lohimo, which features on that song I mentioned, Bloodline,
And she is from
she's from the band Battle Beast, which is
Right.
I guess quite well known. Yeah,
Right,
and the other feature is on a called "In the Name of Love," and the female singer on that is the singer of a Finnish pop metal act called Cyan Kicks, which is a smaller band, but will get popular soon, I guess, because it's a
mhm.
really good band. And both of those guest appearances were my ideas because I'm the songwriter, I'm responsible for vocals, so that's what I came up with. Usually when I start to write a duet, I know like at a really early stage that it's going to be a duet because you have to really find that perfect sweet spot for the both vocalists, the main
Right.
singer and the singer, and you as a singer know that it's always like really difficult to handle that thing when it comes to like female and male singers. So
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah. Two
so that's
different
what happened. And
realms.
exactly, yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much how it went. In
Uh,
case of Bloodline, it was at a later point when I realized that this is gonna be a duet. At the point where I had to rewrite the melody, and because it was a pretty difficult song to finish after all. But in case of In the Name of Love, it's like pretty fast. I already knew when I wrote down the punchline.
Right.
I already knew this is gonna be a duet, and I wanna ask Cyan Kicks to do this with us because it's like it's gonna be
That's
really
quite
cool.
interesting. So you had the idea of like who to like when you wrote the song, you already had the idea when you thought that, okay, wait a minute, so there's gonna be a duet. You already pinpointed that that's the one or person that I want to have to come by and sing on it. So it
Yeah,
wasn't just
exactly.
random.
It was not absolutely not random, and we had those talks on our tour together in 2019.
Right.
Tour with Battle Beast. We had those talks about Nora participating on one of our new songs.
Right.
Which I did not know what it was gonna be back then. But when I was writing Bloodline, I realized, okay, this is gonna be it. And I'm gonna just rewrite it to fit both vocalists. As good as it can be. And for example, in case of At the Break of Dawn, which is our most popular song, which features Elise Reed from Amaranth,
Mhm.
in that case, I wrote it directly for Elise because it
I
was
see.
basically because the idea for that song basically came from a label. They asked if I wanted to write a duet song for our new vocalist and Elise, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. I can try, and then the song turned out pretty good, and
Right.
everyone liked it, and we got lucky to have Elise on. So That's
Yeah,
what happened.
that's great. I mean, I thought that, you know, even in that time as well when the song came out, because I remember that I think what was the year that it came out? It was 2016.
2016. 16.
Right, exactly. At that time, I think I was with Euge at some place. Euge was the guy who was the A&R, or so to speak, handling Spine Farm at that point. I think he mentioned something about it, and then I checked it out, and I thought that exactly what you just said. I thought that that song was written for Elise. It was not written for somebody else. It was just like, okay, that's her song. So now you confirmed it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly.
So
I
nicely
wrote it for
put.
Elise.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So it worked pretty spot on in that sense. So,
Exactly.
so one thing one can say, definitely you have the eye for writing a song for a particular person in that sense, keeping that person in mind, keeping the abilities and seeing what that person is able to do.
Yeah,
This
like I
is,
mentioned,
yeah,
yeah, the
this is
vocal
difficult thing to
range.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a difficult
yeah,
thing to
exactly.
do because many people just be like, you know, write things, just write things for their own sake and then start adding things on it. And then before you know it, before you end up, you're like, what the hell? I can't do it. It's not going to work. I mean, for
Yeah,
many
exactly.
vocalists, like same with Tony Iommi, for instance, how he did with the Dio. It was complete shift. And that's all he did for the sake of Dio. He was like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I'm not going to do anything. He's not Aussie. So he's definitely not going to do what Aussie does. And it would not do justice to his voice as well to do Aussie stuff with him. It completely changed the whole songwriting in the Heaven and Hell. And there we are. History. Right. So
Yeah,
talking about um how many songs do you tend to write that don't fit up with the Arion's catalog? And where do you throw them? Or where do you put them? Who do you give it to?
well, I kind of tend to like write just just the like perfect amount for Arion,
Uh-huh.
and pretty much, and I just don't have any material for waste actually, because it's like I'm a different kind of
Great.
songwriter. I try to like perfect everything I come up with. Those ideas. I always believe that they are good ideas. I just
Right.
have to like work on them as much as possible, and some people might say that, okay, you're just lazy, you're just not writing enough. No, it doesn't work for me like that. I just want to
Yeah,
perfect my
true.
ideas, and that's how our albums
Exactly.
come together. Yeah,
Right.
and that's why they're like, I believe Arion collections of singles because of that as well, because I kind of have I always this is actually an important thing for me. I really want to have a purpose every time I do something. There are like too many musicians who do things without a purpose.
Hmm.
Like writing lyrics or stuff like that. You just start writing, or like we talk about that duet thing. You just
Hmm.
start writing for someone, and then it
Right.
doesn't turn out okay. That's what happens, and that's what I like to do. I like to write a song with a purpose. I want this to be, the closer of the album, and I start writing the closer. that's
Right.
that's how it kind of works for me. So
Right.
writing with a
Exactly.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because different songwriting procedures, different things. In my case, like I have shit tons of like libraries of this and that. I've got acoustic stuff, which I've acoustic album, which I wanted to make since about fucking 10 years. Never see the day of light. Anyways, I don't know. I should have tons of songs, but then compilation, it just does not sit. There are other things that come in and blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty good that you were able to, just that's it. Boom. Done. Like I'm gonna focus on that. So that's the other thing as well. And it's nothing wrong. I don't say there's anything wrong. Like, but did you ever think of writing besides for Arion in that sense? Like, you could be just like, wait a minute, now I have time. I want to take time off from Arion in that sense. Not like take time off, but like take my time in to expand my horizons and writing completely something different and visualizing or getting somebody to do that. For instance, maybe not even have a vocalist, just do like complete instrumental stuff. Do you have that urge in you as a songwriter?
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting topic for me, because I have a long answer for this actually.
Sure.
I've written one song for another artist, and that artist is Stratovarius. I've written one song for them because they asked me to. Matthias asked me
Right.
to help them because they were out of songs, for certain album, and they wanted something fast. And
Right.
Matthias had this like really shitty demo. Actually, it was really shitty. Like seriously, it was like all over the place, and try to come up with something. And then even before I wrote any song, for them, we had to record the drums. So we recorded just a bunch of drums, like beats, and I had to like, you know, cut and glue, everywhere, those drum pieces, and shit like that, and write a song on top of that. It was kind of awful. And the song didn't turn out to be a perfect one, but it's okay,
Yeah,
that
well, it
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
I mean, not every dish
Yeah,
is
exactly.
fucking delicious.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still an okay song, and I'm proud. There's no
Right.
problem. And Timo sings amazingly on it. But anyway, well, the reason I haven't been doing much like writing for others is that I'm not the best co-writer when it comes to like my process. And the reason is my process. I'm a very analytical writer. I'm not the kind of guy who just plays guitar with someone. Yeah, jam on this, hum a melody on this. I'm not kind of. I like to structure the melodies, think about the hooks, and orchestrate and sit alone, thinking about stuff, be analytic, and that doesn't work when you write together with someone. It's you have to be more spontaneous, when it comes to that. So I'm not very good, like,
But
and
have you
I'm
tried working with the others, like, in a complete different scenario? Like,
very few times, and it didn't work out.
okay.
It's like because it's also that I'm very educated guy, I know theory and I know stuff, and not everyone likes that. They feel like overwhelmed when I come up with an idea, like, okay, that's not gonna work because, and I can explain why the melody should go up here and not down, and people just get hurt. That's what happens. Even though I'm not a mean person when it comes to stuff, I say it polite, but people are often offended when you music theory and they don't. So that's how it goes, and not undermining anyone. There are like great songwriters who don't know any music theory, but you know how it goes. And basically, but what you mentioned was that instrumental songwriting, or doing something like that. That's something I've been kind of getting an urge to do, like at some point, because it kind of feels like really exciting, an exciting thing to like experiment with something like instrumental guitar music, like something to showcase my playing as much as I could. It could be really fun just for entertainment, and for others to listen to, and without any commercial purpose. You don't
So
have
you
to
have
succeed
thought
in
about
like
it, or you're thinking about it, or you're just thinking about it now, or?
I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking,
All right.
like lately, it has been kind of like coming up, and now that you mentioned it, like actually funny because I realized that I'm probably gonna go into it like quite soon, but not promising an album.
Right, right. Well, I mean, even all it takes is a single to get things out there, and then things start. Exactly. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But okay, what are the plans of Arion now? What's gonna happen? Even though we know how the situation is. What the situation
Well,
is, we don't know. We are uncertain about when the things are gonna happen again, like when we are able to, get on the road. But what would be the plan? What is to expect from Arion now? What could be the first show so far in the near future?
the first show should happen in July, and in August we are the show.
Completely lost you there. What about August? Sorry.
Yeah, the first show is gonna happen in July,
Yeah.
and I'm not supposed to talk about it yet, but in August there are gonna be festivals. So
Okay.
so so hopefully those happen, and going going on from there, we are
Right.
supposed to have a Finnish tour, and we are supposed to have a European tour if it happens
Mm.
next year.
Mm.
So that's
We're
our
going to
plans.
be
And
probably be playing at the same festival together.
yeah, probably.
Probably if
Hopefully.
that festival happens as well. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
We'll
Exactly.
definitely see. All right. So, I
Hopefully.
mean, is that European tour kind of like in talks, or is it happening, or is it like is it set stone already that this is the tour how it's gonna happen, or are you able to
Yeah, yeah.
talk about it? Should we poke you a little bit more, Ivo? Come on, info.
No, I can't give any more info because it's like
Exactly.
it's only like serious talks, you know. Like
Hmm.
it's supposed to happen, but it has not. We don't have a contract for it yet, so it's like
Right.
I can't talk about it yet.
Right. Okay. Okay, so now, now we're gonna slowly start wrapping up things. There are still so many topics that we could always talk about. There are so many things that could be, discussed, and but it's a never-ending journey when you get to know like a musician and the musician's world in that sense. It's always interesting that I've been very fascinated by doing these, chat live streams as well. First of all, you are under a microscope in that sense as well, that you're talking publicly. So you're like, on a constant basis, like your mind is going ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Yeah.
And then you gotta be sharp on that edge as well to give the answer. So it's very interesting to know the musicians have how they, react to things and how do they think things over. But now the question is very important, which is from that has made my community revolve around this interesting thing that we have been doing since the day one that I started to do these live stream things. And that has to do something with it's a food question. So you would have to reply as yes or no. I mean, you can't have a diplomatic answer for the sake of it, right? So I'm putting you under microscope again. Now, the thing is that it has to do something with the pineapple. Pineapple as a fruit, like. But is it a yes or no if it's on a pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
Disappointed?
Come see, come sa, fugazi, fugazi kind of a thing. Yeah, people like pineapple on their pizza, but
it's a yes. It's a yes.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, it was really good to know you, man. Right. Well, do you wanna emphasize why? Is it a yes?
It's good. It's as simple as that, you know. I'm actually gonna go and buy a pizza with some pineapple on it after this. So
Right. Wow. Okay.
it's
Oh,
good.
that just makes the evening even more exciting and better, I guess. All
Yeah,
right.
give it a
Well,
try.
nah, I'm good. I'm good. I my community definitely very much knows what my stance is on the pineapple on a pizza or pineapple on any other kind of a food. It's yeah. It's a no for me. Straight up. Yeah. Exactly. But anyways, the thing is that I have to thank you for coming to the stream doing this. We have planned it for a longer period of time, and there was a slight chance that this might get canceled because of the things that are happening around in my department. But I have to thank you for giving this time, this, that we were able to do this. And we forgot about to mention, by the way, people, I have been a part of the choir on the album Vultures Die Alone. I was asked at the last minute as well by Matthias wrote me that, hey, what are you doing today? I'm like, oh, what? Yeah, come over for the choir. So I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, we just ended up like not a day, not on the same day, but a day before, I think so, or something like that. So that happened, and so definitely people go check out the stuff. There are music videos out there as well. Under the description of the video, you would find out, and under Iivo's screen or the camera, you're able to see all the links: Facebook of Iivo and Arion, and then Instagram Arion and Iivo as well. So check them out. Support the band. Check out the videos. Check out the music. Play it all night long if you like it. Spotify, it is if it is for you, then or any other platform that you stream the music from. But thank you once again for doing this. It was really nice. But I have still a request. This is what I have started to do on YouTube, which is called Lick Hub series. Now, you may ask, what the hell is that? So, this is about me learning guitar licks from different guitar players. So, you are definitely required in that department as well, but I would love to check out some licks of yours and learn them live as well. So we're gonna do that sometime also. We need to
Absolutely.
make a plan regarding that, because learning process is a never ending process. No matter what kind of a musician you are or what kind of a human being you are, if you think you know things in life, then fuck off. I mean,
Exactly.
so once again, thank you. Kiitos paljon, as they say in Finnish. Those of you who did not know that, if there are some international viewers as well, nice indeed. There are quite many, anyways. I know from Germany. But yeah, all the best. Take care. And what are we going to do now is we're going to make a short outro. And for that outro, we would like to ask Iivo one last question. And that question is, if they are supposed to go from this video into another video, should they go check out Bloodline?
Yes.
There you go. There you go. That's what we're going to do. All right, chat. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your patience. You've been kind. You're far too lovely. And this conversation would have gone forever and ever, as we heard. Like, there are so many other questions that could have gone through. But we keep it short and tidy. Titsy-mitsy. Spicy. What? Let Iivo go and have his fun with the pineapple pizza, I would say. And I'll continue. Anyways. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Iivo. Take care of yourself as well. Have a good night. We will talk absolutely soon regarding the Lick Hub. It's going to be the case. All righty. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Take care.